Welcome to another MSP360 case study. Today we're talking with Jeremy Ferguson, Senior Engineer at Arcamatech Technology. Jeremy, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks, Nick. Man, it's good to be here.
Glad you're here. Before we get started, would you just tell those watching a little bit about yourself and the work you do at Arcamatech?
Sure, yeah, I can do. I am the senior engineer, systems administrator for Cama Technologies, and basically that means day to day I keep the systems up and running and try to keep our clients happy, as well as the bosses.
That's good.
Right?
Glad to hear that, as well as maybe keep some customers,
Do the things they
operational.
want
But
done. Yeah, yep,
yes,
that's it.
exactly. Can you talk which MSP360 product or products are you using today?
Right now, just backup. We've talked about possibly opening up that into more of your product suite, but what got us in the door with you guys was the backup product.
Good. And how long have you been using it now?
Little over a year.
Okay, so a little over a year. So what are you using it to back up today currently?
Client servers. So we've got a proprietary software that the tax assessors and collectors use to manage all the data when it comes to assess your properties and you're getting into government things. But that's what we do. We have a proprietary software that requires an on-premise SQL server. So we're backing that up per our contract with those clients. And then we also go in and do IT services, sort of like an MSP, but very niche because we only deal with government entities. And then so we'll also grab their file servers, domain controllers, print servers, any other server they have. And if, of course, they want it, we'll get their workstations as well.
Excellent. And then what were you using before MSP360? Obviously, you don't need to name names, but were you using another product, and what were you using it for? What was wrong with it?
When I showed up at this company, we were actually using two different platforms to accomplish two different goals there. And one of them was doing image-based backups on the servers, and the other one was doing the file level backups for our Cama software because they wanted to do contractually. What we'll do is because there's so much data moving in and out of those SQL servers, they do a file level backup just off of the SQL files on those servers every day. And then we pull those SQL files with the file level backup back into our system so they can turn around and take those backups and restore them into a development site to verify and validate that the backups are good and the data was good inside their SQL servers.
So I assume that one of the reasons for wanting to switch to a new product was maybe to consolidate solutions and simplify admin and all that.
Try to consolidate everything down under one platform, one pane of glass. It's kind of a pain in the butt when you've got two different products to monitor, two different products to monitor, and it's not any fun administratively to have to manage both of them and keep up with both of them. You have a problem here, well, then it can break this one and vice versa, and it's a nightmare. Overhead was expensive as well. So I come in and I'm looking at this and I'm like, guys, there's products that can do both of these things all under one pane of glass. Let's see what we can get. And then we
And
started investigating.
so I assume there were a number of vendors on your short list, and assuming so.
Man, there were a number of vendors, some of them very well known, some of them not. And we ultimately went with you guys because of support. I'll tell you what, man, it was really strange how many people were, first of all, unwilling to give us any sort of demo in the first place or even a trial of the software. They're just like, we'll buy it and go use it. And we're like, well, we need to know what it's capable of. And they didn't even want to play games. So, they're already off the list. But it came down to you guys and one other very, very well known software. And I could not get them to support me at all. They gave us a trial of it, but we're sitting here trying to run through it and get it to work the way we need it. And I'd try to ask for help, and 2 or 3 weeks would go by and no answers, no nothing. And I'm like, well, this isn't gonna fly. If I've got a serious issue, I need you guys to help me because contractually these are obligations we have. And not to mention this is customer data and it's nice to know it's backed up and safe. So it was the support that led me to you guys in the first place. That's when I went to my director and said, this is the product. It was actually price-wise, you were a little higher than the last one we looked at, but support won it, man. Totally worth it for support.
That's good to hear because that's obviously a big factor for a lot of vendors. Yeah.
Huge factor. Dude, it's hard to find good support these days. Even outside of just the backup platforms we use, some of these other tools, man, support just it doesn't exist anymore, not in a good level. But you guys had it, and that's what sold it.
Glad to hear it. Now, you mentioned having to need to do both image and file level backups. Do you have an example of maybe of when you've used MSP360 to meet both the contractual obligations you have, and have both sets of types of backups accomplished?
Yeah, absolutely. The image is what we prefer. You know, it's just a simpler backup and easier to maintain from our side. That's what we want to use on all of our client servers. But because we've got this proprietary software and they have to do those SQL validations every day, an image-based backup was a lot of data for them to have to churn through just to find one little backup file or 7-zip file, you know what I'm saying? So, that's why we wanted the image level and the file level backup option, and so I can run an image job and a file level job on the same server with the same product. Now my development team can go into their file level backups and pull just the one file they need because that's all I'm backing up with it, and do the restores quick, fast, and in a hurry. And then if we have a disaster, we've got our image level side and IT to go in and restore all their files, all their data, or whatever else they might need.
Excellent. I appreciate it. Great story, Jeremy. Thanks for joining me today. I really
Thank you.
appreciate your time.
Appreciate it, Nick.
Yeah. Yeah, we've been talking with Jeremy Ferguson, senior engineer at Arkansas Camma Technology. This has been another MSP360 case study.